selling products faster online. So I've made a video before where I spoke about different ways that you can work on selling products. And one of the big things that most people are focused on is, how can I sell them fast? We're in this sort of like time is money economy where it's like, I want to buy it, I want to sell it, I don't want to sit around on like buying something for a tenner and waiting a month to make £10 profit. I will say, just on the back foot of that if that is your mindset towards vintage and secondhand and you are slightly impatient at times maybe, it might not be the industry for you. There's a big factor in what this is doing, in what we're doing with like vintage and buying and selling secondhand and stuff like that, is that there's a lot of people doing it. I kind of reinforce this point about we're in a supply over a demand economy right now. And the reason why I had a lot of efficiency and speed with my selling before is that we was in a demand over a supply economy, and there was much more people wanting it than there were people who were supplying it. Now, obviously, we have the bedroom sellers, and I'm assuming if you're watching this, you might be somebody who sells. Big up to yourself anyway. I think it's wicked if you're doing that. But the question at hand, how to sell products faster. So let's just cut to the chase of that. So the way that you sell products faster is understanding and educating yourself on what it is you're selling. Now, educating on a product and how it sells isn't to just necessarily go on Depop and go, oh, everybody's selling this Nike, see how I said trying, that'll make sense in a minute. Everybody's selling these Nike sweatshirts for like £35. No, they're trying to sell them for £35. Because obviously if you see products, you have to remember when you compare prices, if you're looking at a load of people that are selling items at a set price, you're looking at what people are hoping to receive for an item. And the underlying thing of somebody's only willing to pay as much for something, an item's worth as much as somebody's willing to pay for it. But where does that sit, Spen? Where does that kind of bit of information sit? So what I'm trying to get to is that when we want to look at how to sell products faster online, we have to understand what it is that we're actually selling by a means of educating ourselves on what it is that we are selling. So if I was to take an example, let's take this Tommy Hilfiger sweatshirt that I've just put on for this video so that it didn't look like I'm wearing the same clothes all the time. Let's take this Tommy Hilfiger sweatshirt. So my process for understanding how to sell this faster, realistically and genuinely, would be go online, find this exact sweatshirt, find at least 5 to 10 variables of like where the prices are, understand where the market is and what people are charging, and just undercut everybody. If you can afford to do that. Now, I know that was a bit like, whoa, undercut everybody? The reality is that somebody's probably undercutting you by accepting cheaper offers to you anyway. And when most people say everybody's looking for let's slow down. Okay. Say there is somebody looking for this sweatshirt online, right? This Tommy Hilfiger sweatshirt. And he goes on Depop, Etsy, eBay, and a couple of like secondhand, like vintage websites or whatnot. When he goes through and looks through the prices and compares all of those, the biggest factor that he's looking at is the affordability. The main thing people look at is what's the price comparison in comparison to all of these other places that are selling the same thing. The only way that we know a base level of how much a Ralph Lauren shirt is costing secondhand is because most people have this understood notion based on the prices they've seen online. So when it comes around to this how to sell products faster, there's not a get rich quick, sell items quick, faster approach. But what there is there's a way of understanding and educating yourself on what you are selling, and then understanding a strategy that makes sense and is feasible with what you can offer. So if you buy sweatshirts like this at £15 a sweat, should you really accept offers of £20? No, not really. I wouldn't, because I don't think it leaves enough meat on the bone after the commission and everything that you have to do. However, if you was a volume seller and you had loads of like similar sweatshirts, then maybe you're on a small like profit per item. But when we look at how to sell products faster, if that is what you want to do, you have to compromise the price that you're asking for. You can't expect people to buy to your product quickly if there's loads of people selling the same or similar products and you're not offering it at a cheaper price. You might have wicked photos. You might have a model that's standing in some mad places and it looks all cool. And don't get me wrong, as somebody that comes from a background where aesthetic was the most important, I would agree that that gives it more value because it shows you've invested more into it. But people that are looking to buy don't really care that you've invested in that. And I think that it's understanding where people are and it's understanding where you are and meeting kind of like in the middle somewhere at that. So the easiest ways to like sell products faster are to understand what you're selling. And by understanding what you're selling, you know, and that's to understand the market. Educating yourself is to understand what these sweatshirts sell for in grade A, grade B, and grade C. And if you're saying, wow, so I've got to look at this Tommy Hilfiger sweatshirt as an individual case and do that. If you want to understand and educate, yes, because that's what most people that spend a lot of time in the industry have done. I remember when I was starting, I took Ralph Lauren, I looked at all the individual Ralph Lauren items, I understood the tags, I understood all of this, I then went on to a different brand. I did so many different areas of element in like the understanding of all these brands to understand where the market sits and how the stock market of these brands sell and where it genuinely sits in the ecosystem that I was at the time. And understanding that allowed me to know where the leverage would be. So we had a website and I knew how much I could afford when we was doing sales and discounts. And as a result, we could do a lot of sales and discounts. I'm not going to get into whether that waters down a brand. We'll save that for another one. But if you want to sell products faster, if that is where you are, I think you've got to just be prepared to accept that it isn't a guaranteed like fast sale situation. It does depend on what you're selling that will determine how fast it sells. It will depend on the accessibility of an item. You got to think, if a customer can find your item you're selling by 10 different sellers, what do you have to do to ensure that you could have a faster sale? Make sure that the item looks shit hot on your photos. Make sure that the price is even more competitive than the other people selling it. Make sure that you've added more information than somebody else has and whatever touches you want to add to encourage that sale. So selling items fast isn't what vintage and secondhand is all about, but there are certain strategies that you can apply to ensure more of a guarantee that you could sell it quicker or beating other people to the post of selling items. So that will come in later times of the videos. You know, we're only just adding, we're just seasoning little bits of intel onto these topics so far. But as always, guys, if you've got anything that you want to ask, if you want to drop a comment and say, Spen, can you give more clarity on the strategy? Or Spen, can you give me some examples of like the easiest way to look at like a type of item on different websites? Whatever it might be, drop a comment and I will try and give you some light on that individual aspect. But guys, appreciate it as always, and I hope you are enjoying the videos. So give them a thumbs up if you are and you don't mind. Appreciate it.